No, Sienna corrected. They were one filing away from selling everything. She slid a printout across the desk. It's an email you missed in your first sweep. I looked down. From Jeremy Hartwell to Gregory Blackwood. Subject, Horizon Global REIT closing conditions. Confirm with the buyers that the Davenport Family Trust will be the executing entity. Once the amendment is signed on Monday, we can bypass the Class 5 restriction and sell the entire Lancaster residential block to the REIT by Friday. My fee on the transaction is set at 4%. The family gets the annuity structure we discussed. They'll be happy with the monthly payouts, and I get the liquidity to cover the Apex Global margin call. I read the email twice. The words blurred together. They're selling it, I whispered. Grandpa's company, the buildings he built with his own hands. Sienna's voice was mercilessly calm. They're not just selling it, they're liquidating it for parts. She leaned back slightly. Jeremy is selling most of the Lancaster portfolio to a foreign real estate investment trust. His 4% closing fee comes out to roughly $8 million immediately. She gestured toward the email. Your parents and sister get an annuity, a fixed allowance that pays them just enough to keep buying cars and purses while stripping them of all real ownership. A strange laugh bubbled up in my throat, jagged, unstable. They called it the Enterprise, I said. My mother and sister toasted to their new enterprise. I shook my head slowly. They don't even realize they signed a treaty to become tenants on their own land. Exactly, Sienna said. Jeremy is the only one who wins. She leaned forward, locking her dark eyes onto mine. Your family thinks they're partners. In reality, they're the cattle he's selling along with the farm. Then she folded her hands. So here's the question, Claire, and you need to answer honestly. Do you want to use this leverage to negotiate a settlement? Do you want your shares back, slap Jeremy on the wrist, and go back to Sunday dinners with the same family that tried to sell you out? A pause. Or do you want to burn it down? I turned toward the window. The San Antonio skyline stretched below us. I thought about the draft horse. I thought about the roast chicken getting cold while they laughed in the Maldives. I thought about years of fixing their mistakes, paying their bills, swallowing my pride just to be allowed at their table. And suddenly I realized something. I didn't want a seat at their table anymore. I wanted to flip the table over. I don't want to negotiate, I said quietly. Sienna, I want to take the harness off. I looked back at her. I want to make sure that when they reach for the keys to the kingdom, they discover the locks have been changed. And the landlord has evicted them. Sienna smiled. It was not a comforting smile. It was the smile of a shark that had just smelled blood. Good answer, she said. She pulled a legal pad closer and clicked her pen. Here's the strategy. 3 moves, fast and precise. She wrote one. First, we activate the Class 5 protection clause immediately. She slid a document toward me. I've already drafted the papers for Davenport Horizon LLC. This entity will belong solely to you. We'll use the grandfather clause to transfer your 51% controlling interest out of the family trust before Jeremy's forged amendment can be processed by the state. Her pen tapped the page. We leave the shell behind, but the assets will be gone, she wrote too. Second, I'm bringing in Ana Santos, the best forensic accountant in Texas. She'll dig through every transaction Jeremy has made in the past 4 years, every dollar he siphoned, every credit card your mother opened in your name, every purchase Louise made with your identity. She looked up briefly. We'll build a fraud dossier so thick it will have its own gravitational field. She wrote 3. Third, timing. She glanced at her watch. You still in the Maldives? Yes. Good, that gives us 4 days. She leaned back. You go home, you text Jeremy, ask him how the weather is. Play the part of the trusting wife one last time, because the moment people feel safe is the moment they get sloppy. She slid the legal pad toward me. Monday morning, exactly 1 hour after their flight leaves the Maldives, we file everything. The restraining orders, the SEC complaint, the civil fraud lawsuit. By the time their plane lands in San Antonio, she gave a small, cold shrug. Their phones will be exploding. Their accounts will be frozen. The board, the banks, and federal investigators will be waiting to ask Jeremy some very uncomfortable questions about wire fraud. She tore the page from the pad and handed it to me, then her voice softened slightly. There's one more thing, Claire. What? I asked. You need to prepare yourself. When we pull this trigger, they will scream. They'll cry, they'll say you're destroying the family. They'll weaponize every memory, every guilt trip, every insecurity you have. I know, I said quietly. I remembered my father's rage at the dinner table, my mother calling me selfish. Sienna shook her head. No, she said. You don't, not yet. A pause. But when it happens, remember this email. She tapped the printed message again. They were already selling you. You're not killing the family. Her voice dropped lower. You're just signing the death certificate for a patient that died years ago. I stood, and suddenly I felt lighter than I had in years, like setting down a heavy backpack I hadn't realized I'd been carrying. I looked at the email about selling the company one last time. The betrayal was total, absolute, and because it was absolute, it was liberating. I owed them nothing. Not loyalty, not explanations, not mercy. I understand, I said. Sienna stood and extended her hand. Then go home, Claire, pack your bags. Move somewhere safe and keep your phone on silent. She held my gaze. The storm is over for you. But for them, a thin smile touched her lips. It's just making landfall. I shook her hand. Her grip was firm, dry, and cool. Then I walked out of the office and into the elevator. As the doors closed, cutting off the view of the law firm behind me, I caught my reflection in the steel panels. For the first time in my life, I didn't see the utility child. I didn't see the fixer. I didn't see the draft horse. I saw the woman Maximilian Lancaster had tried to protect, the owner of the kingdom. And in that moment, I realized something. I wasn't just a piece on their board anymore. I was the one about to flip it. I took out my phone. There was a text from Jeremy. Jeremy, hey babe, Houston is freezing. Miss you, hope you're not working too hard. Did you manage to send that document to Gregory? Love you. I typed back immediately, my fingers flying across the screen. Me, hey honey, don't worry about anything. Everything is taken care of. Stay warm. Can't wait for you to come home to the surprise I have waiting for you. I hit send. It was the most honest lie I had ever told. I really couldn't wait for him to come home. Because when he did, he would discover the locks had been changed, the accounts were empty, and the wife he thought he owned had become the CEO he never saw coming. The next 96 hours were not a divorce. They were a corporate extraction. If you've ever watched a heist movie, you know the montage is the best part. The music swells. The team moves in perfect synchronization. The impossible plan starts to look inevitable. But in real life, a heist is just logistics. It's paperwork. It's phone calls. It's the terrifying realization that you're dismantling your entire existence one box at a time. It started Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock. Not in a skyscraper. In a small community bank, 40 minutes outside the San Antonio Loop. I chose it because it was boring. I chose it because nobody from the San Antonio social scene or Apex Global would ever be caught dead standing in line there. Sienna met me in the lobby with a stack of documents thick enough to stop a bullet. We sat in a small glass cubicle with a branch manager named Matthew, who looked increasingly bewildered by the sheer amount of legal firepower now covering his desk. We're establishing a new entity, Sienna said calmly, Davenport Horizon LLC, and we're executing an immediate transfer of these Class 5 instruments into the new trust. Matthew blinked twice, then nodded nervously and began stamping forms. I signed my name until my hand cramped. With every signature, I felt a physical weight lifting off my chest. I was moving the 51% controlling interest of Lancaster Holdings out of the reach of the family trust, out of Jeremy's reach, into a fortress that only I had the keys to. When the final stamp slammed onto the paper with a heavy thud, I looked at Sienna. She gave me one short nod. The castle no longer belonged to them. They just didn't know it yet. By noon, the forensic accountant called. Claire, Ana Santos said, you need to sit down. I am sitting, I said. That was a lie. I was pacing the penthouse living room, staring at the expensive artwork on the walls. It's worse than we thought, Ana said. I found 3 more credit cards opened in your name. My stomach tightened. One paid for plastic surgery in Miami that looks suspiciously like your sister. The other 2 are covering a storage unit and a luxury car lease for your mother. That's the small stuff. What's the big stuff? I asked. Jeremy. She paused. I found a series of consulting payments from Lancaster Holdings to a shell company in Delaware called Titus Black Consulting. My voice dropped to a whisper. Jeremy. He's the sole signatory, Ana confirmed.